Okay, good morning, Matt. We're here at Harrison School, and in the group we've got today teachers Jan Herald, Jessica Jennings, Jim Riley, and we've also got Paul Floyd, who's from the ACT Education. He's the Science Curriculum Officer. We've also got, of course, 3 classes. We've got 1-2 JH, give a wave. We've got 3-4 JR and 5-6 JJ. About 50 students for you today.
Fantastic.
So over to you for a quick intro, and then we'll run a little look-see at the Curiosity launch and landing.
Oh, okay. Sounds great.
Oh, you'd like us to do that now?
So, whatever you guys would like. I've got about 15 to 20 minutes worth of stuff that I can show you guys. Whatever you would like.
Well,
okay,
let's watch the video.
We'll just run this video and then go from there.
Things are looking good. Vehicle report that trigger, please.
What about the
Feel the atmosphere as we go in here. Just reporting that we are seeing G's on the order of 11 to 12 per G. Commercial 2 is starting. We are now getting chemistry from all students. We should have pressure deploy around Mach 1.7. Pressure deploy. We are decelerating. Digital section has separated where we found the ground command. We're down to 90 meters per second at an altitude of 6.5 kilometers per minute. Standing by for fractional separation. We are in powered flight. We're at altitude 1 kilometer descending. Standing by for stack green. Stack green instruction. Eagle dive, keep being strong. Our shock is firm. Receive online.
Yes, it is. That's a video because I didn't have a camera ready. But wait for it. There's pictures. That's the first photo back from Mars, and they can see the wheel of the rover in the shot. And 4 fingers.
Yeah. Need a hand? That's right. Just go start and we can go full screen now, I think.
Yep. There we go, Matt. That must be wonderful reliving that.
Yeah, it makes me nervous every time still. So I know what happened.
You know the outcome, yeah. Okay, so over to you.
Well, thanks guys for having me here. My name is Matt Heverly, and I am one of the lucky few people that actually gets to drive the Curiosity rover on the surface of Mars. And I'm talking to you here from a place at JPL called the Mars Yard. And what you see behind us is an exact replica of the Curiosity rover on Mars. And there's a team of people that are actually testing this rover right now and driving it around in the Mars Yard. We're testing the software to make sure that the rover will make all the right decisions when we send it its commands and have it drive around on the surface of Mars. So I'm going to show you guys a few really, really cool pictures, if that's okay. So there's your school, and tell me when you can see what I've got up on my screen. Can you guys see a picture of a big, beautiful rover?
Oh,
Yes.
Hey!
There we
Right.
Beautiful.
So, what do you think of that robot right there? Awesome. So, basically, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about a project that we call the Mars Science Laboratory mission. And this mission is really sending this giant rover, Curiosity, which really what Curiosity does, it does experiments on the surface of Mars for us because it's too hard to send people to Mars. And it's basically a geochemistry lab. And what that means is that the rover's out looking at all the different rocks and all the different minerals, and it's looking at the atmosphere, and it's trying to understand what the surface of Mars is made of and how it was formed. So on November 26th, can you guys see a picture of a big rocket right now?
Yes.
Ah, good. So on November 26th, we launched Curiosity to Mars. So at the very, very tippy top of that rocket, Curiosity is all packed up in a little package, and it traveled, from Florida in the United States, up, out, and on its way to Mars. And after 8.5 months of traveling, Curiosity made it to Mars. Can you imagine going on a road trip, being in the back of a car for 8.5 months?
No way.
Curiosity didn't mind, but that's why it's really hard to send people to Mars. Because who would want to go on a big long road trip for 8.5 months? But the robots don't really care. So once it got to Mars, it was traveling really, really, really fast. And we had to slow down. So the first thing we did is it hit the top of the atmosphere. We used this heat shield to slow the rover down. And it basically started braking and started slowing down just by hitting the top of the atmosphere. And it slowed down a little bit, and then it had to slow down even more. So then we deployed a parachute. You guys all see the picture of the rover on the parachute?
Yes.
And then you can see inside that little shell back there is Curiosity, all tucked up, nice and safe, inside of that shell. Well, the parachute would only slow it down so far. Then we had to put a jetpack on the rover. And the first time I saw this, I started laughing because I thought, we're really going to put a jetpack on the back of our robot? But we had to in order to land it on Mars. And then the jetpack had to hover over the surface, and the sky crane lowered it safely and gently down onto the surface of Mars. And then once the wheels touched down, we cut the cable from that jetpack, and it flew off. Then we had Curiosity sitting all by itself, safely on the surface of Mars. And all of that had to work. And one of the crazy things is that it all had to work on its own. We couldn't use a joystick. We couldn't send it any commands. This whole entry, descent, and landing, what they call it, had to work all autonomously. No people could do anything because it's too far away for us to be able to send any commands to the rover once it's there. So we had to see if the rover would land safely, all on its own. And then on August 5th, 2012, we found out that it actually worked. And the picture that you guys see down in the left-hand side, this picture over here, is the first image that Curiosity sent back from the surface of Mars. It landed safely, and a couple minutes later, it sent back this image that showed, in fact, that it was safe. And everybody was so happy. So now, I'll tell you a little bit about this big leap. So the rover's 2.2 meters tall, so it's taller than me. That's me in that picture. You can see the rover's a little bit taller than me, and it weighs 900 kilograms. It's a really, really big rover. It weighs almost as much as a car. And when we sent it to Mars, we sent it to this place called Gale Crater, which is right there. That's where Curiosity is sitting on Mars right now. And this picture down at the bottom is a picture that Curiosity actually took of Gale Crater. And a lot of people ask, why did we send a robot to Mars? Haven't we already learned a lot of things about Mars? Well, one of the things that Curiosity is looking for is it's trying to tell if Mars was ever a place where life could have lived. if life's living there now, if life was living there a long, long time ago. And it's trying to understand if it's a place where it's safe for humans to go. So we're doing all these experiments to try and understand, was Mars once habitable? How did Mars change, and why is there no life there now, if in fact there is no life? And if we do send astronauts to Mars, what do we have to do to make sure that the astronauts are safe? So those are all the things that we're trying to do with Curiosity there. So now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about my favorite part of the rover, which are the wheels. And this picture is one of my favorites, because this picture Curiosity actually took of its own wheels on it. So it's got a robotic arm that it reached out, and it's got a microscope into this robotic arm, and it took pictures underneath the rover to see if there were any rocks under there. And we were able to see the wheels, which are really just the reason that it's a rover. So when I tell people all the time that I drive a robot on Mars, the first thing they think about, they kind of hold their hands out like they're playing a video game. They think that I have this Xbox joystick and that I'm driving this remote control car around, which doesn't quite work that way. So we do have a joystick, and we do have a robot that we can drive around. And so there's a rover here shown in this picture called the Scarecrow rover. And we actually drive that one with our iPhone. And there's a rover that you saw in the background of our Skype conversation here in the Mars yard that we used to drive, kind of using a remote control and commands to it, and we see this happen right away. But is that Mars is 312 million kilometers away from Earth right now. So if you were traveling at the speed of light, it would take you 17.3 minutes to go from Earth to Mars, just in one way. So what that means is if I'm driving a robot with a joystick and I see, oh no, there's a big rock in front of the rover, and I hit stop, 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 it would take 17.3 minutes for that stop command to make it to the robot, which is probably too late, and it would already hit the rock. So instead, what we do is we talk to the rovers twice a day. So once in the morning, send a list to the robot. So we make a big long list, just like if you were going to the grocery store, and you would say, hey, I need you to pick up milk and eggs and things like that. We send the list to the rover, and we say, we want you to drive forward 1 meter, and then we want you to turn right 10 degrees, and then drive another meter forward, and then take some pictures and do a few other science experiments. And that's what we want you to do for the day. So the rover will wake up in the morning, and it will get this list of things that we've asked it to do. And then it will just go one by one down this list and do the tasks that we asked the robot to do. And then at night, the robot basically emails us home, and it says, hey, here's all the things that you wanted me to do today. And here's the pictures that I took, and here's the science experiments that you wanted me to do. And it basically just sends us a little letter at the end of the day that says, here, I was successful at all these things. Or, hey, I had a problem. I got my wheel stuck on something, and I'd like you guys to help me out. And then the rover basically sends us this information at around 4 p.m. on Mars time. So then when we get that information, the rover goes to sleep, because it's really cold on Mars, and it takes a lot of energy to do things at night. So we do some science experiments, but for the most part, it just sleeps at night. And then while the rover's sleeping, we're building a list of commands to test the rover the next day. And so we always come to work at about 4 p.m. No matter what time it is here on Earth, I would show up to work at 4 p.m. on Mars. And the Mars day is 40 minutes longer than the Earth day. So what that means is if one day I show up to work at 9 in the morning, the next day I show up at 9:40. Then the next day I show up at 10:20. And you keep showing up to work 40 minutes later every day until pretty soon you're showing up to work at 2 in the morning. So that's why we had to live on Mars time. And we're moving away from that, which all of our families are very happy about, that we don't have to go to work at midnight anymore. But that's why we have to do it for the first 90 days of the